My name is Miss Mailer, and we are going to be reading a story together today. So, scholars, this summer I did a lot of reading. Reading is one of my favorite things to do. Put a finger on your nose if you can think of something you love to do in the summer. I see so many scholars with fingers on their nose. Okay, scholars, we are going to get our turtles up. Scholars, when I say go at a level 1, tell your turtle your favorite thing to do in the summer. Go. Okay, back and start. When I was a little girl, I used to go to the library and check out all kinds of books. I read books about adventures, animals, and families. Think about something you would like to read about. I'll know you have an idea when I see your fingers on your brains. What do I like to read about? Okay, scholars, now we are going to share with the class what you like to read about. I need to see a hand up with an elbow by your ear. Teachers, if you see scholars with hands up, go ahead and pause the video and ask 2 scholars to share what their favorite things to read are. Okay, scholars, now that we've talked about our favorite things to read about, we're going to go ahead and look at our book. Scholars, we are going to look at different parts of the book. When I point at that part, I'm going to say it, then you're going to say it. Here we go. This is the front cover. This is the back cover. This is the This is the spine that holds the book together. This is the Now we're going to look at the front of our book again. This is called the title. It is the name of the book. The title of this book is How Rocket Learned to Read. This is the title. This is the Now we're going to look down here. This is the author of the story. They wrote the book. This author's name is Tad Hills. Scholars, this is the author. This is the We're also going to look down here once more. This is also the illustrator of our book. The illustrator of the book makes the pictures. The illustrator's name is Tad Hills. So he wrote the book and he made the pictures for the book as well. This is the illustrator. This is the Okay, scholars, in this book, Rocket learns to read from a bird. As we read, we are going to be active readers. We will be active readers. You got it. Being an active reader means you are thinking about what you're reading by paying attention to the words and pictures. Active readers pay attention to the words and pictures. You got it. I'm going to show you how I think about the words and pictures by using these thinking stems active readers use to show they are paying careful attention. We are also going to be using a loud and proud voice when we share with our class some of the answers to the questions I'm going to ask you. Okay, scholars, let's get started. How Rocket Learned to Read by Tad Hills. Rocket loved to play. He loved to chase and choose sticks. He loved to listen to the birds sing. Every fall morning, after chasing leaves, Rocket would lie down in his favorite spot under his favorite tree. There, he'd sniff the neighborhood smells and settle in for a good nap. But one day, a little yellow bird startled Rocket. "Aha! My first student! Wonderful," she sang. Rocket was confused. "Student? I'm not. But if I am your teacher," the bird interrupted, "then you must be my student." Rocket found it hard to argue with this bird. "I am so glad you saw my sign," the bird chirped. "Oh yes, I can see it," Rocket said, "but I don't know how to read." "Can't read? Fantastic!" She waved a wing. "Welcome to my classroom." "But I just came here to nap," Rocket said. "No, no, there will be no napping in class," declared the bird, "except, of course, at nap time." "Well then, I can take my nap over here," said Rocket. "I've had a very busy morning." "Not to worry, I'll be around every day," chirped the bird, "until the weather turns." Okay, scholars, I'm noticing in this picture, Rocket the dog is walking away from the bird to nap. I know Rocket wants to nap because it says so in the text. I also know that the bird wants to teach Rocket because it says, "Not to worry, I'll be around every day." I wonder if Rocket will ever learn to read from the bird. As I read, I'm going to be an active reader and pay attention to what happens next in the story. Let's keep reading. As Rocket breathed in the crisp air, the little yellow bird hung her banner. "Oh, the wondrous, mighty, gorgeous alphabet," she marveled, "where it all begins." Opening a book, the bird began to read. She sang out the story of an unlucky dog named Buster who'd lost his favorite bone. A cool breeze carried her lively voice across the yard. At first, Rocket was disturbed. As an active reader, I notice in the picture that Rocket looks mad. I see that the bird is reading in the tree. And I also see that Rocket is trying to nap. So, using the picture as help, I can figure out that Rocket is probably irritated or bothered by the bird. I wonder what will happen next. As an active reader, I'm going to read the text and look at the pictures to figure out what happens. Let's keep reading. But before long, he found himself captivated. To Rocket, the story was as delicious as the earthy smells of fall. It was as exciting as chasing leaves. He closed his eyes and listened to every word. As Buster dug and dug and dug under the lilac bush, the bird read, he felt something familiar. Rocket waited. Was it the bone? Silence. Was it the bone? He called to the bird. More silence. Was it the bone? Rocket hollered. Suddenly, he was rushing to the tree. Well, was it? But the little yellow bird was gone. The next morning, Rocket arrived early. Scholars, we're going to pause here and look at the picture. Where did Rocket go in this picture? What do you see around him? I'm listening for responses using a loud and proud voice. If you're ready to share, put your hand up with your elbow by your ear. Teachers, now is a good time to pause the video and discuss. At last, the little yellow bird appeared. "Hello, how wonderful it is to see you in class," she chirped. "I can tell by your waggy tail that you are well rested." "I'd like to hear the end of the story, please," said Rocket. "That seems like a fine way to start the day," chirped the bird. She gave Rocket a name tag and began to read. Every day, Rocket returned to the little yellow bird's classroom. In the morning, the bird taught him a new letter, until he had learned all of the wondrous, mighty, gorgeous alphabet. Together, they sang out the sounds that each letter makes and spelled the sounds they heard around them. With a G and many R's, they spelled Mr. Barkle's growl. Grrr. They spelled the sound of the wind, which was growing colder by the day. Whoosh! Soon they were spelling words like fall, F-A-L-L, for the gusty time of year, and red, R-E-D, for the color of the leaves. And each afternoon the bird read a story. She read stories about dogs and birds. She read about leaves changing colors and about birds flying south for the winter. Then, one day, the weather turned and the letter banner disappeared. "See you again in the glorious spring," the bird sang. As she flew into the wintry sky, she called, "Don't forget, words are built one letter at a time." The days grew shorter and the leaves fell from the trees. The grass became crunchy. Soon, Rocket's classroom disappeared under the snow. He remembered the little yellow bird's alphabet and practiced his letters. Okay, scholars, we're going to pause here. What do you notice Rocket doing on the page? Look at the pictures. How did you figure that out? Scholars, if you're ready to share, put a hand up with your elbow by your ear. Teachers, now is a good time to pause the video. Thank you for sharing, scholars. I'm wondering why Rocket is practicing his letters of the alphabet in the snow. While I'm actively reading, I'm going to see if I can figure out why Rocket is writing in the snow. Let's keep reading. Rocket thought about the bird's sweet chirp while he sounded out words like dig, d-ig, and wind, w-ind, and cold, k-old. He made new friends and spelled their names. Hello, Emma, E-M-M-A. Hi there, Fred, F-R-E-D. He spelled everything. Sun, S-U-N. Melt, M-E-L-T. When Rocket spelled mud, M-U-D, he noticed that spring, as it always does, had returned. The breeze blew warmer, the grass grew greener, and a sign appeared. Scholars, we're going to pause and think about this. Why is Rocket sitting in front of the tree? When you have an answer in your brain, raise your hand with your elbow by your ear. Teachers, now is a good time to pause and share. Scholars, thank you for sharing. Let's keep reading. Early the next morning, Rocket rushed to his classroom. As he waited, he spelled WAG, W-A-G. Soon the little yellow bird arrived. Aha! My star student, she sang. How wonderful to see you. I can tell by your waggy tail that you are ready for class. Then, together, they began to read. They read stories about birds flying north in the spring. They read about picnics in the warm sun. And they read about Buster, the lucky dog who found his bone under the lilac bush. And when they were done, they read it again and again and A-G-A-I-N. That is the end of our story. Scholars, I have a question for you. How does Rocket feel at the end of the text about reading? How does he feel about reading? How do you know? So, think about it in your brains. How does Rocket feel about reading? And how do I know that? When you're ready to share, put a hand in the air with an elbow by your ear, and your teacher will call on you to share. Teachers, now is a good time to pause. Scholars, you did such an amazing job of being active readers during Read Aloud by showing your thinking. What is something active readers do to themselves to show they are paying attention to the text? Think about it. If you're ready to share, put your hand up in the air with your elbow by your ear. Or teachers, you can go ahead and pause the video. Okay, scholars, great job reading today. I saw so many active readers. Now that we're done with Read Aloud, your teacher can choose someone to pick a chair. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you later. Bye, scholars.